this particular player. And this is the man in question in the top left here. Dropping a pool on 12 supply. What did I tell you, Zeph? What did I tell you, chat? This is GogojOey.
And his Protossian opponent in the blue trunks in the bottom right. This is ButAlways.
That's it. All right, and ButAlways is going for a little bit of look. I love that his clan is Rush. Not a shock.
Yeah. I'm glad he dropped that pool while we were still talking there, because I was about to say, you know, I watched Joey play ButAlways yesterday, and he played like a pretty solid sort of standard style against ButAlways. I don't think he'll cheese, but here he is.
Bruh.
Pool.
Of course. And yeah, it's trying to... I mean, Rex tried to do it against Haas on this very map, in fact, and Haas managed to really beat it back quite well, actually, not really losing a whole lot, just hit points on the pylon and the zealot. And I think he had to cancel a gateway, and that was basically the extent of it. ButAlways going to take it a bit more seriously here, delaying the Nexus. I mean, Haas didn't scout at all. He went to, like, Nexus, or Gate Nexus, and then Cybercore. It was basically as greedy as possible.
It's hard to cheese a cheeser, though. He's very well versed in the cheeky builds. But always so far, he's got the Zealot, he's got a second one on the way, and he's got that wall off, so he should be okay so far. And he did sort of get a little bit of a scout there on the other side of the map, so he can wager that there's just a hatchery there and droning happening from here. I think it would be a little bit unusual to see a big swell of links. But he's just got to deal with this annoyance from GogojOey here in the early stages. Going to lose one of the Zealots.
Yeah, Zealot does go down, but I feel like that's completely fine here for the Protoss.
Yeah.
Because you've stopped the Lings from doing any serious damage. You know, you've lost that 100 mineral unit to supply, and now you've got the Adept, you've got several hundred minerals worth of Lings running around, and you did not take damage at home. I guess the biggest damage indirectly is that his Nexus is later, and there's no tier 2 structure just yet. He hasn't started Warp Gate. All those things definitely slowed down for the Protoss, but as is the economy for the Zerg, so sunrise, sunset, give a little, get a little.
Yeah, and one thing we've seen from the Protoss players throughout the tournament so far is that 2 Adepts alone can do a lot of drone damage. If they're not racking up kills, they force a pull-off here and there. So that'll be something to watch. I'm not sure if ButAlways is the kind of player that utilizes that harassment consistently throughout the match, but it's definitely an option he could have to just try and slow down GogojOey's economy a little bit there, as well as he is moving into a 3rd hatchery and continuing to power up on drones.
Yes, indeed. And it is going to be Stargate here from ButAlways, going for the new Protoss hotness. No more Twilight Council openers anymore. They still exist, but it's going to be all about that Void Rays F, the laser beams.
Yeah, can definitely at least clear up a couple of the overlords nearby the base, get a little bit of scouting, be a bit of a nuisance, and we'll see what he does from here. Does he follow up with an Oracle from that Stargate? Does he go straight into Glaives? Few options here. Stargate's just such a nice, solid opening. We've got a bunch of options from here, and not too bad defensively either.
Yeah, the Stargate build, the reason why it's so popular is that it is just so well-rounded. You can scout with it, you can be safe with it, you can use it all game long. There's never a point in the game when the Stargate isn't something that you can utilize as a Protoss against Zerg.
I am keeping an eye on that Stargate. He did make the second Void Ray and then drop the Twilight. ButAlways is a guy that has played Skytoss in the past. So I'm always a little on edge when I see the Stargate go down. I'm like, is he going to do it? Is he going to commit? That hasn't been quite so fashionable lately, but you never know.
Twilight Council, the Forge goes down. He is going to be switching into Ground Army, so the Void Ray opener is just for the start of the game. Not going to go heavier on the Void Rays for now. That is a transition into Charge +1. And usually Templar Archives as well, or Dark Shrine, depending on how you want to go, but you want to throw in some beefy tier 3 with these charge lots so that they have a lot of trading potential against the usually pretty light army of the Zerg. You see the layer just starting now for GogojOey.
Yeah, it also opens up some good avenues for harassment, especially once you get a Warp Prism on the field. You can warp in the main. You can run some zealots into that third base. And oh dear, these links have slipped on in through that gap in the wall, and they're going to try and target down a couple of probes. One adept gets warped in immediately into the main base. Let's see how many kills he can get so far. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, 2 probes went down there, but good probe control there from ButAlways to mitigate the damage. GogojOey's queens went for a little bit of a walk, but going back on creep.
Not a huge amount of creep spread for the number of queens he has.
Yeah. It kind of felt like GogojOey was flirting with the idea of going for like a Ling Queen thing. Just thinking about it. But the Roach Warren has been up. He's going for the Roach speed here and thinking that he's just going to be on the receiving end of the Void Rays and better to defend. Oh, picked up by the Observer there that we have no creep connecting the main and the natural, which is definitely a mistake.
Yeah, he'll have it shortly, may not. He's just like, oh, whoopsie.
Just bear with me, man. Jeez.
1 second. Let me patch that up real quick. Yeah, but he still got there in time. 2 Void Rays. Not able to do too much, but he is getting some scouting information, and it gives them the ability to continue to be active on the map.
One does not simply go into Charge Lot Archon and then triple Stargate at the same time with +1 air weapons. It's like ButAlways just wants to be able to like hedge his bets. You know what I mean? He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make a ground army. I'm gonna show a ground army, but I feel like I'm gonna actually make air units just in case.
Interesting. Yeah, so he is actually going to stick with the air toss idea. Because in the past, I've seen him go, like, open Stargate, then do Glaive Adepts, and then do the same thing as he's doing now, and be like, actually, I need more Stargates. And then he just goes ham on the air army. And this is a situation where Joey is trying to get up in his face with a few roaches. The Void Rays making that annoying already. Queen's out trying to spread a bit of creep, but there's some Zealots and an Archon here as well.
I mean, the Zealot contingent gets eaten up pretty well there by the Zerg. Roaches and Ravagers separating from the Queens. They're going to find Void Rays over here, and GogojOey needs to pull back as he is starting to overextend. Loses 1 Ravager there. 4 Queens turning and firing. 5 Queens turning and firing on those Void Rays and shooing them off their front lawn. Because GogojOey's been making a lot of units for quite a while. His drone count isn't super convincing right now, but it was necessary to make those units. But GogojOey's not stopping making units.
This is a little concerning. Like, I don't think he knows that there's the huge Void Ray commitment, or does he? Because there's a spy coming out now. Because all ButAlways showed there was mostly a ground army, like the beginnings of one, and it was sort of a weird time to be hitting in there. Now that he sees the number increasing, he definitely knows what he's up against if he didn't already. And these Void Rays can continue tickling these roaches on their way back home. Zealots in the main base. Really nice move from ButAlways.
Yeah, the Zealots in the main, that Prism. There's not a whole lot of creep spread in the main base. You know, the extra creep trimmers, he just connected the main and the natural. And these Zealots are just ripping and tearing through the main and the third at the same time. Huge drone damage. 21 drones have gone down. And even with creep, these Queens will not be speedy enough to be able to catch those Void Rays, but always disengages in the middle of the map.
And important scouting there for ButAlways too. Sees the Spire, which is almost done. And some lost mining time there as well from the drones that he's had to pull off. Now, more air units traversing the map here for ButAlways. He's expanding towards a 4th base up at the top right corner at the same time, getting that DT shrine behind this, and the Fleet Bacon. He's ready to rock and roll. He's got a lot of Void Rays here.
Yeah, and keep in mind that they got +1 attack as well, so they're a little bit higher DPS than this ball of Void Rays really is. And honestly, I think ButAlways is at that point where he can go full Gold League here and just F2 those Void Rays around. Like, there's not a whole lot that can stop these anymore.
Yeah. And GogojOey is going for the counter because he realizes that. He's like, oh shoot, I actually don't have enough to contest this. I'm going to have to try and do some counter damage, or at least get him to pull back and defend. And there's a recall right away on those Void Rays to come and help out at home, but there's Zealots in the main again.
This is desperation from GogojOey. He does have a big army supply, not a whole lot of economy, so this Roach Ravager army needs to do a lot of damage, and picking off this Nexus is definitely a great start, but these Roaches aren't going home, Zeph. They are all dead. All the Roaches, all the Ravagers are all dead. They are not going home at all, and is it enough for GogojOey? That huge investment of Roach Ravager to pick off that Nexus. He has taken so much damage at home to those charge lots. Oh, man. Oh! Not quite enough to finish off that hatchery. He's got 9 hit points. One more swipe.
Yeah, one DT sneezes
DT's the
on
main.
that and it's dead. He's going to get the Spire as well. He's going to get more drones. I wouldn't be surprised to see a tap out from GogojOey here shortly because he's taking so much damage. He's already sub 50 drones past the 10-minute mark. Even if he does clean that up, even if he does do a bit of counter damage, he's in a really dire spot.
The Spire does die. So the DTs will go down, but there are some at home, and the Void Rays, once again, like these roaches, they're just like, well, I have an army, I have to do something with it, right? Well, GogojOey's been massing Void Rays, and they just don't care or respect your Roach Ravager army. There's no way to deal with the Voids. It feels like GogojOey's run out of steam in game one here, Zeph.
Yep. ButAlways is continuing to invest in that air army and just expanding again. I mean, I am not sure what GogojOey can really do from here. He's going for the hydrogen and he's holding on, and you know, power to him. We'll see how much these muters
He's a believer.
can do. But
he's a believer. I respect that. When you have a giant ball of muters, it feels weird to tap. You got to try and do something. I mean, that is something. That's a lot of worker skill, but yeah, triple Stargate, Zeph. You know, you can make a lot of Phoenixes build really fast. And you can get a lot really quick with 3 Stargates. It's unfortunate for these muters. They just have nowhere to run and nowhere to hide until they get to those queens.
And they're still pretty much in the red. Oh dear. Oh no. That's not the direction you want to go, my friend.
Yeah. Zigging when they should have zagged there. And but always is showing up with what remains of his ground army. And I mean, the power is in the air here. There's a lot of queens. Don't get me wrong. Tons of queens. Oh, but always has done the map in his brain and he thinks he can take it. I don't know.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, if you get the right engagement, if the laser beams aren't able to turn on right away, you can actually take out a fair few of those voids. What's a little bit concerning is having those carriers getting added into the mix because he still doesn't really have a good answer to the air. Relying on queens is slow and clunky. Good for a head-on engagement, maybe. He's trying to get some hydras out, but there's just nothing that's going to be able to kill this ball of void rays quickly enough to prevent it from doing things like this.
Yeah, picking off the main. That's absolutely brutal. But GogojOey is a believer. He's not leaving this game just yet. But it's you know, you gotta wonder. It's like, okay, what is the plan? What do we do here? We're down to, okay, we're Zerg, Zeph. Here's the plan. All right, we're Zerg. We're on 2 hatcheries. How do we turn this to a win? Okay, go.
Put me in a tough spot here, Maynard. I'm not sure it can be done.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, unfortunately, for GogojOey. He's got to grab everything and just go and hope for the best, but he's up against carriers, he's up against a giant ball of void rays, and, I mean, ButAlways is starting to slap down shield batteries now, but I was going to say, he wasn't really respecting this attack to begin with.
Yeah, I think this is actually the best he can do. He's still trying to make the odd Hydra and Ravager behind this. If he gets a magical engagement, perhaps this can still be done. There's Archons in the mix here as well. And ButAlways is taking this very patiently, just picking away at things with the Tempest, knowing where the main threat for this army is, those high DPS Hydras. He's got a Zealot pecking away at that one hatchery that's trying to rebuild. And he's got to dodge the Biles. Whoa, you can't be taking all those Bile hits.
If all these units are stacked up on top of each other and the Biles take them down, like they almost did with those Void Rays, then there is a game here for GogojOey, but it is starting to look bad as he's bleeding more and more resources on the front line. He's losing all of his Hydralisks. The DT's actually not really answered here by the Zerg. There's no detection with this army, so the DTs are doing a ton of work as well. And the Phoenixes go for the lift on the Queens. That's going to be it. A valiant effort from GogojOey, but always too strong in the end.
GG. Very nice from ButAlways, sticking with the Stargate style. It looked like GogojOey just didn't really know what to do about that because he'd already committed into the Roach. And as he pointed out, he did actually make a lot of units rather than powering up that drone count. So he was kind of like, oh no, now I have a giant ball of Roach Ravager and he's got Void Rays. Not ideal. I think he did okay with trying to run around, put pressure on ButAlways with the roaches that he did have, but ultimately he really couldn't get much bang for his buck with that.
And it started off with the 12th ball, if you cast your mind back. The Lings actually managed to squeeze on in. This is after the 12th ball, obviously, with some speed to get a nice big scout off, which they did see, and they got a couple probe kills there in the end. And this initial attack from ButAlways was pretty unconvincing. GogojOey had a pretty good hold at the start, but it felt like the Void Ray was a problem for him from 8 minutes onwards. He didn't actually have an answer for the Void Rays other than just having a lot of queens. And it is so awkward as a Zerg when you're forced to make a lot of Roaches and Ravagers to respect the ground army of the Protoss, but the Protoss has also gone triple Stargate, and then you're like, well, all right, now I have, 10,000 spoons and all you need is a knife, like that Alanis Morissette song. You have to do something with your army, otherwise it's a waste of money. And he goes for it, but it ends up being a waste of money anyway, with the Void Rays just being too big of a problem for Roach Ravager. And ButAlways just strategically playing circles around GogojOey in game 1.
Yeah, it's rough too when you're around 50-something drones and dropping, and you don't really have the money to fund a tech switch or some more valuable units, and then the Void Rays come in and start sniping those tech structures as well. Bye-bye Spire, bye-bye Lair. You can't afford to rebuild that. You don't really have the time for it, even if you could. So a rough one there for GogojOey, but I like that he started off with a cheeky build. We'll see what he comes up with in game number 2, and perhaps he can even it up.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to take a short break. When we return, though, GogojOey versus ButAlways game 2. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back. We are watching the Taiwan-Hong Kong bracket here for the DreamHack Masters main event. I am Maynard. With me is Zeph. And we are in the middle of a series between two wonderful players. GogojOey up against ButAlways, with ButAlways currently on a 1-0 lead after sky tossing the Zerg out of map 1. Zeph, is GogojOey, not will he or can he, but is he going to tie up the series here?
I think it's a tough ask, as well as he did yesterday. Just looking at ButAlways statistically, I mean, there's not much data to go off for 2021, but last year he was a bit of a PvZ specialist. It's kind of his best matchup always. Last year it was like 60-something% win rate, which is pretty good, especially at the professional level. So I feel like maybe after that first series, he's got him figured out a little bit. He knows what strategy is going to work now. He could always go for that Stargate style again. I mean, worked pretty well in game 1.
Yeah, it certainly did, and it's definitely the flavor of the month, or flavor of the last year even. In the bottom left, currently against the ropes, but looking to tie it up. This is the Hong Kong Zerg, GogojOey.
And over here in the top right, spawning in the blue trunks, this is ButAlways.
But always with them Void Rays. I was talking about it with Pig. I'm just like, that's the guy I think of when I think of that Void Ray meta, the triple Stargate Void Ray thing. He was the first guy I saw doing it before everyone else was doing it. Just after that Void Ray patch hit, like last year.
That's true. He's always been a fan of it. And he's definitely had success with it too. So at this point, he's a veteran of the style. Can't really blame him for continuing with it. Now, Joey goes ahead and takes the forward base here right off the bat.
Yep, just going to circumnavigate that whole probe dance in early game PvZ, where the probe comes forward and blocks your natural. It's interesting expansion location, I suppose. Zerg's generally a little bit more comfortable with expanding on the edge of the map. But, yeah, that's definitely where he wants to expand. He immediately went down there to take his first expansion.
Yeah. A lot of people just don't even bother with that early probe. Sometimes there's the assumption that you're going to get pylon blocked, especially if there's a very early probe scout. So you just go ahead and take your third anyway. Interesting that he has gone for the forward position instead of the one to the right.
Yeah. Well, we do have the Cybercore finishing up here for ButAlways. We see the Adept coming down, and we're just keeping an eye on that Warp Gate timing, because at the moment it is looking like he's looking for that Stargate, starting to bank up that gas for it. Yeah, it's going to be a Stargate build here from ButAlways in the main base, methinks.
Yeah. And this isn't going to be too surprising for GogojOey by any means, but it is a little bit annoying because you have quite a distance to connect creep between your bases when you take a different base as your natural first. So that can be a bit of an annoyance when you're defending against Oracle Harass or even Void Ray Harass. The queens can't maneuver around as easily. Also, even the Adepts can be a bit of a bother in that regard, but we'll see how he goes with the harassment. First Adept sneaking in already.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a little look here and see if she can take some drones down with her. Oh, good save on that drone there in the end, grabbing that extractor.
Oh, wow. Well, that worked out well for GogojOey.
Yeah, sure did. Great hold there from the Zerg to start things off with. Just the one Adept, but I mean, 100 minerals and 25 gas down the toilet for not much value at all.
Yep. And also doesn't really have a way to keep tabs on Joey until that Void Ray is out on the field. That Void Ray can also pick off a couple of Overlords like he did in the last game, particularly the ones that are already venturing into Protoss territory to have a bit of a scout. So he will shortly know about that Stargate from ButAlways. And I am very curious to see what the follow-up is with this Stargate again here.
There is, you know, the school of thought at the moment for Zergs against the Void Rays is like, you need to make sure that if it's Void Rays, it's a commitment to Void Rays before you commit to something like Hydralisks. And with the Fleet Beacon, I imagine it might be a commitment to Void Rays.
Could be. Could be. He did actually, last time they played, he went Tempest.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, he did go Tempest in game 1 as a result, but I must admit, I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down here. I'm smelling what you're stepping in, because this is a fleet beacon on one Stargate. There's no second and third Stargate. Normally it's the extra Stargates come down, then the fleet beacon. So I think he might be onto something.
Yeah, he did it on Jagannatha. And unfortunately, he was looking for that dead airspace where you can just kind of hang out with the Tempest and just do damage to the drone line or what have you. But unfortunately, there's not actually a very good pocket for it. And he got taken out by Queens, and then GogojOey kind of ran away with the game from there.
Oh my.
And he doesn't actually see the fleet beacon.
And immediately into carrier here for
Okay.
for ButAlways. I mean, GogojOey can see this. You can see the outline of the Stargate unit being warped in on the Stargate. So the Zerg is aware of what's happening. And I mean, GogojOey slack-jawed, and he can't believe what he sees.
Yeah, straight away 5 gas. He's going to need some help to deal with these units. It's so frustrating too early on, but he's got about the earliest warning you can possibly get about carriers, and that counts for everything.
Yeah.
You cannot get surprised by them.
It was actually kind of a mistake from ButAlways to not have this Overlord killed by the Void Ray. Like, the Overlord sat there for a long time, and the Void Ray did not scout that part of the main base, which is an easy place for a Zerg to hide the Ovi. So a bit of a mistake there from ButAlways. And as the Zerg drops the Roach Warren, they did grab their gases, so there's quite a bit of gas mining coming in to the economy for GogojOey. And I was going to say, you need to get a Spire here, because you're up against carriers, mate. And if you're trying to fight those carriers with just Queens and Roaches and Ravages, oh, yeah, I mean, it's a start, but you definitely want something a little bit more convincing, like the Corruptor, eventually.
Yeah. And that definitely seems to be what he has in mind. There's a bit of an annoying time where all you've got is Queens to defend on, so that's why we see another 3 in the production tab there. That should be plenty for the moment, at least until the carriers come together and group up. Then it gets a little bit more difficult. He's got Spores here to help out as well.
Spores definitely help. The prismatically overcharged Void Ray there, going for the Spore, prismatically aligned. Link stepping in to assist with the Zealots. The Queen's getting a little low, but they're transfusing each other. Keeping each other up. Another transfuse available. Just the last one coming in on that Queen on the north side. And just gets juiced up in time before the Interceptors pick her off. That was quite clutch there for GogojOey. A little lucky, but also just well played. Good hold.
Yeah. Yeah, really nicely done. It's always a bit of a scrappy hold when you're just trying to do Queens against carriers and Void Rays and Zealots, but yeah, he went well there, and he's got his 4th hatchery up without much contest. He's even got time for a little bit of a backstab here with Lings. There is a quick warp in from ButAlways though, so he's decided not to commit into there. Maybe save those for a rainy day here and come back later. And now we start to see a bit more of the creep spread, realizing that he's going to need not only a bit of vision, but the mobility to help defend against this. And 11 Corruptors in the production tab there.
Yeah, GogojOey is banking up big time while that Spire was coming down, which is, you know, he cut a lot of corners early game there. He's just like, I just want Queens and Lings because I'm saving everything for a big ball of Corruptors. And I think it's the right call, because ButAlways is switching into Void Rays here. But if you have enough Corruptors, it doesn't matter what you have in the air. They will roll through it and single target damage down your Void Rays, carriers, whatever. Like, the Void Ray is a good unit against the Corruptor, but when there's enough Corruptors and you have a creep highway, which GogojOey is working on, by the way, it's very, very tough to beat that, even with Void Rays. Yeah,
and ButAlways is aware that he's actually in a bit of danger. He's dropping 6-7 shield batteries right away, realizing, uh-oh, Queens plus Corruptors is actually a pretty scary thing for me, because I don't have that much. Air takes a while to build up. Gotta hold his horses there a little bit, get back to the safety of the Queens. And he's going to try and engage here, still rallying Corruptors. +1 air on the way, but not quite done yet. Neither is that +1 missile, so he kind of needs to hold back here so he doesn't miss out on those useful upgrades kicking in. And that does give ButAlways more time.
Oh, the Corruptor's coming forward and picking off a Void Ray. One of them goes down, but the Void Rays are more expensive, even though the Corruptor is a little pricey itself. Oh, another Void Ray not quite going down. There are 7 shield batteries here for ButAlways, so that's a tough nut to crack for the Zerg. Almost feels like he should disengage and maybe just spread a bit more creep and take complete map control. Like, maybe expand again, double expand even. He's got 85 drones, and just accept that this is going to be a longer game.
Oh, he's going to spit on it. Nice.
All right, yeah, that's dead. Nicely done.
Down it goes. Void Rays a little ahead of themselves. One goes down, but so does a Corruptor. And that's something that ButAlways has to be a bit careful of. He's just actually going to queen walk all the way over to this 4th base and deny it again. But you can still use those Corruptors to continue to harass. He could likewise throw Lings at this base while he's trying to attack into the 3rd, although with 7 shield batteries, I don't think that that's a place that he can kind of ever take a fight.
Yeah, the Corruptor count's also getting obscene. This is so gross, and I mean, it makes total sense. Keep in mind that ButAlways is as all in on the air army as can be, so making nothing but pure Corruptor actually could be the right call here. Prismatically aligned Void Rays, the Corruptor's disengaged, waiting for that ability to run its course. The Queens evaporate though, and now the Corruptors re-engage. Is ButAlways in a good defensive spot here? Oh man, it looks like GogojOey kind of mismathed that one.
Yeah, it's always really hard to judge, especially when you sort of have all those Void Rays right-clicked into one big ball and you actually can't get a proper count on how big that is. And ButAlways does zap down a lot of the Queens and a few Corruptors there. But yeah, GogojOey now going with the Ling Harass, continuing to make Corruptors, going to the +2 missile and +2 air weapons. You want that number of Corruptors that can go in, one-shot a carrier, one-shot a Void Ray, and get out. And hopefully you don't lose Corruptors when doing so. It's a very tricky thing to do. But you've got to kind of pick this army apart because a head-on engagement is actually very, very scary to do.
Oh, does pick off a carrier there. And carrier is absolutely worth the Corruptor's life, as is a Void Ray. 2 Void Rays going down. That was a good little run by there from GogojOey. A carrier and 2 Voids. Absolutely worth a few Corruptors. 5 Void Rays being made at a time, though, from ButAlways. Oh my god, this is just full Sky Zerg against Sky Toss here.
And this is a bit of a Queen Walk map, and this is like an extended Queen Walk. He's
pulling back from the shield batteries, though.
Yeah, don't want to get too fresh there. He's still getting the Queens actually across the map. He's still making those behind this. So he doesn't have creep spread on this side. So those Queens, once committed, are probably going to die here. But he's very adamant about using those as support for this army. Corruptors targeting down Stargate units. Lings coming in at the bottom as well. A hallucinated Colossus joins the fray here.
Yeah, I don't think that's fooling anyone. As the Queens are going down to the Interceptors slowly but surely, and the Void Rays start to snowball again. And I mean, I keep seeing Void Rays disappear, but I don't see the Protoss' army actually dying. It's starting to snowball now, though. There we go. Oh, those Corruptors all stacked up, getting right over the Nexus. And with the carrier going down, GogojOey should be able to just roll through here finally.
Beautifully done. That is such a hard fight to judge, especially sitting on top of shield batteries, and he has picked this apart. ButAlways is continuing to make more and more air units. He's got 3 more Voids queued up. There's a shield battery and a cannon in here as well. He may yet, hold this off. And as those Corruptors start to get more wounded, he does have to back off here for a minute. It's really hard to finish off the Protoss in this position as well. But you see GogojOey also making a lot more Lings to follow this up.
Yeah, he's been spending all of his gas on Corruptors, so just going for a lot of Lings makes sense. Corruptors going for a commitment for the Caustic Spray on that Nexus is probably going to go down. I'll actually disengage the Caustic Spray to fight the Void Rays, which is an even more valuable target, and they do take them all down. Once again, a great move there, and GogojOey takes the map, tying up the series 1 apiece, and we're going to get a game 3.
Yeah, that was a really good game from GogojOey. He knew exactly what to do, and it all came down to that Overlord on the edge of the main that was just spying on the strategy the whole time. Didn't see the fleet beacon, but he could see the carrier being built in the Stargate and then the addition of the other Stargates, and that really ruined ButAlways' day. He just didn't get the surprise factor that he was looking for.
And you need, like, just to talk about when the armies were engaging towards the end there, we're going to get some highlights. Maybe when we look at it, I can talk about it a bit more. The start of this game being quite nice for GogojOey, just with the 1 Adept being pretty efficiently dealt with. And this is the moment you were talking about, Zeph, as you don't really need to see the fleet beacon. You can see the unit shape being morphed inside the Stargate. So I guess that's one of the weaknesses of Stargate tech if you have a unit over it, but not the biggest of deals generally. But this kind of situation is so hard to judge when you're like, do I have enough Corruptors to get the job done? And if you're on the Protoss side, you're like, do I have enough Void Rays and Interceptors to get the job done? This is such a hard battle to actually call, like, as either player and as a commentator. I mean, we are scrublets compared to these players. So This is just such a tough battle to call because everything's just all stacked up on each other. It reminds me of when PvP used to be Phoenix against Phoenix all the time.
Oh, no.
And people would just stack all their Phoenixes on top of each other. And you're just like, all right, go. Boo, 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 boo. And you just hope that you have more.
Yeah, definitely does feel like that. And I think I really like that GogojOey was up in his face to trying to get rid of that air army, trying to pick it apart, even though there were shield batteries all over the place, because he knew that if it gets too big, it's going to become unmanageable. And then his only choice is to expand a lot, make a lot of spores, try and get Vipers, and then pick it apart that way. And those games go long. They're very difficult to play. It's very difficult to trade effectively there as well. And I think he did probably the best he could have. I mean, we were looking at that last fight like, gee, don't know if he has enough here, but suddenly he comes out on top. The air army is dying. So very well done, able to pick the battles effectively there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone, it's a bit of a hot button topic where people are like thinking that SkyToss is really broken, but it's really not just the SkyToss units that just do it by themselves. It's the SkyToss units with their corrupted countermeasures, with Storm, with Archons, with a fleet of Void Rays to be able to fight back the Corruptors. Because you can see, if you give the Zerg the ability to just mass Corruptor and not punish them for it by having Stalkers or Archons underneath it, the Corruptors really can just get to a ridiculous number and then just roll through. That was game 2, and this is game 3. Let's have a look and see if GogojOey can win 2 in a row and get the victory in the end. It is GogojOey.
And the master of the Stargate up here in the top right, ButAlways.
I was pretty back and forth there. I kind of thought that when the SkyToss, well, rather when the Void Raid count got that high, I'm like, oh, maybe this is a ButAlways victory in the end, even though he had a bit of an awkward start.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely looked like he could have taken that. You only need one fight to go really badly for you, and then it ends kind of either way, whether you're the Zerg or the Protoss. Because ButAlways just didn't have the opportunity to recover his air army after losing that one battle. And likewise, if GogojOey had lost the bulk of his Corruptors, those are incredibly expensive as well. He would have to pull back, try and rebuild those. That gives ButAlways room to rebuild his losses and harass at the same time. That game suddenly looks very different. But yeah, that's the rough part about playing these air styles. And once again, Joey on this map didn't even bother trying to take the proper natural, go straight to the third.
Yeah, ButAlways, I mean, did the Protoss thing, which is common since I feel like this time last year, or even earlier than that. Pretty much since I Am Katowice 2020, the last event before the Rona hit. We had a meta where the Protoss starts the game, takes their 12th probe on the mineral line and sends it across the map, always blocking the natural hatchery. And it's been so common and prevalent now in the matchup that some Zergs, even if the Protoss isn't sending a probe across the map, they just blindly take the third location as their first expansion anyway. And ButAlways is always going for the Stargate build. This time, though, on the other side of the map.
Chose a nice little spot there where the Zerg is less likely to scout. You tend to scout the potential 4th location, the 5th, which is closest to your main, and then kind of vaguely around there. There's not necessarily anything that would dictate that you would go right behind the mineral lines up that base where he's actually put it. So we'll see if he ends up pathing around there. GogojOey is looking for it, so it seems like he's familiar with the tactics from ButAlways here. And that's always rough when you're actually looking for it and you still don't find it.
Yeah, breaking off units to every corner of the map, and then there's that one corner, that one dark spot, and you're like, oh, it won't be there, I'll be fine. And then you check the replay and you're like, FML. Only Adept going to get a drone here, but she might die.
Yeah. Oh no.
Nibble, nibble.
One set a step.
There it is. Yeah, that's kind of painful, honestly, but always not very good with that Adept, unfortunately. Very similar to game 2. But can the Oracle come in and get some drone damage?
Yeah. Looks like it. He's got a spore building now. He hasn't seen all that much, but it's so speedy. Look at it. In it comes. Free reign over this mineral line. One queen is annoying. he will have to watch it, but you can get so many kills even while taking that queen.
Ay, caramba. 8 drone kills, and the Oracle gets out of there with blood on its hands. That is a really good start there for ButAlways with the proxy Stargate. Obviously, spores are up now, and creep is being connected from GogojOey, so I foresee him being able to mitigate the damage somewhat, but still a pretty good start for the Protoss. And once you get the double Oracle, you can kind of disrespect the Queen and the Spore a little bit and just start one-shotting drones and then go for those drive-bys and swing on out of there. Plus, you can just drop Revelations all day long on Zerg things.
That's true.
So, good start here.
He has discovered the enemy. He's going to depower that. Maybe get rid of the Stargate as well if he can, but it looks like the Oracle may try and float over there and deal with that. And now GogojOey moves out on the map with the rest of the Lings, trying to spread out, get a little bit more vision about what's happening here and what the follow-up is going to be from ButAlways.
Indeed. Does have to keep him honest here. ButAlways actually dropping the Templar Archives here, playing a very different version of PvZ than his Stargate-centric game 1 and 2.
Up and with that Warp Prism, he opens himself up to a few options. He can go Archon drop. He can get charge lots and warp those in. Feel more inclined to say it's going to be the Zealots, but see how we go here as he moves out with that Warp Prism immediately. And the Overlord actually scouts at a really nice time to see exactly what's coming down here. We see him drop a couple of spines unit production right away here as well, noticing that, there's actually some scary units coming at me. Just Lings
noticing
won't
these
cut it
Adepts
here.
sliding into that third base, getting some drone kills and denying a bunch of mining here. Potentially not worth. I mean, 2 Adepts for 2 drones. You'd want a little bit more than that. So a couple of spines coming up the natural there for GogojOey. Just
He's
seems
scared,
to,
man.
yeah, he's super scared. He's making a lot of units right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he was thinking there was like an imminent attack right there, like
Like charge lot Archon attack of some kind.
because there's a bunch of extra gates coming in now. But the upgrade isn't ready yet. He still didn't quite have Archons, so even if he was going to hit, it would be like a really weird timing to come in. I'd be more inclined to think that's going to come once all those gateways kick in. But nicely done from Joey. He sticks those queens on the edge of the main, denies the Warp Prism from warping in straight into the main base there with the Archons.
Well, the Archons get themselves a roach there, which is great. This Ling's been working on that Stargate for quite a while. It'll get the job done shortly. And GogojOey's going back into droning. He's realized that this is not a huge timing attack, and it's just basically the Archons and the Prism for now. So he's going to get a nice big round of drones. We'll take a 4th base, spread a bit more creep, and just take a bit of a breather.
Yeah. I mean, making the roaches is always useful because Lings aren't going to cut it against the Warp Prism Archon harass. Really love the use of the Observer there as well, clearing up the creep. It's going to make it easier for future engagements.
Oh. Oh my god. Okay. Oof, that just gets out of there for ButAlways. And the Oracle swinging in for a bit of a look here. This looks like a Revelation run by. Oh, Stasis Ward on the ramp. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
One of the main denied.
He finished the spines. I was under the assumption that he canceled them. So that's not to worry. I mean, he can reuse them for the defense. You know that ButAlways, if this goes long, will inevitably try some warp-ins here and there. But now the attack is coming. And GogojOey is just about supply blocked. He's making 4 Overlords, trying to get some more roaches out here as well. That base is not going to live. Cancelled immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, 4th goes down here, and GogojOey on 3 base economy trying to hold on. This is a nasty little choke point where the Zerg's going to find it tough to get a good surround with their units to get a good concave happening. Spore being utilized as well, trying to push back the Oracles. And let's keep them safe in potentially some cloaked units, but of course we know it's all charge lots. It's Archons, Immortals, and Sentries. But always his army is deceptively powerful here, even though he's outnumbered by the Zerg. I don't think he's outgunned.
No. And GogojOey doesn't have a whole lot of vision on the map because the creep keeps getting cleared up, and ButAlways has been fairly active on the map with what he's got. And he's using this high ground to his advantage here. Gonna try and stay secure. on top and not let him get too close. I kind of like the other position better, but it's just not a really, there's not much there for him to attack purely because he had those 3 stasis traps ready. But he won't get to use them just yet unless he swings back around there.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to force an overcommittal over there. Zerg starting to leap a launch pad up into this high ground. Force field's coming down. Securing the exit here at ButAlways as he returns to the Protoss side of the map. Prism in the main base, though, a bit of a distraction as the charge lots come in. Again, there is a spine here, which is distracting those charge lots on the left. On the right side, they're making that queen go for a walk.
But always choosing this timing really nicely, recognizing that the bulk of the force is now across the map. But GogojOey cleans that up very well, uses the queens and the few roaches to deal with that while he continues to try and pressure on the front lines. Will lose some mining time. He's pulled off the mineral line there. Half his roaches engaging this army while the other half goes up onto that high ground. No base there, though.
And ButAlways, like a mega Chad, just walks into the biles saying, I don't care, it's just shields. Just goes straight into the biles. And yeah, I mean, that was a mistake from GogojOey for sure. He having his roaches separate means it's an easy fight there for ButAlways. Spire goes down, 12 more roaches. So GogojOey's maxed out on 67 drones. So not a great economy, not a huge bank either, and not a whole lot of gas. So it makes me wonder how much you can actually get done with a Spire switch. It feels like this Roach Ravager army needs to get something convincing done, or ButAlways is going to start to become a little bit too tough of an army to beat. Oh my god, that giant stasis ward on the left side, I missed that.
Wow, that swallowed up a lot of the army. Now that's trapped. That's actually just going to die. There's like dead. 50 immortals there.
Oh yeah. I mean, GogojOey might wait for the stasis to end to start the engagement to try and be like, oh, look, I got a flank, but not really.
What flank?
Yeah, that
absolutely melted.
Yeah, that donut of Protoss death and this warp in of Stalkers as well with +1 attack. It feels like ButAlways' army is just being crafted to destroy the army of GogojOey way too well here.
GG ButAlways. Looking really stoked after that one. Takes the 2-1.